Hi, my name is Chris. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing CSS Battle Daily Target for June 27, 2025. Alright, the first thing I always do is try to get an approach for how we're going to recreate this target and then count the number of elements, get those in place, and then style everything up, right? So whenever I see something like this, I immediately, my default is always to go to Flexbox, but that's going to get very tricky with this. We could always use position absolute to recreate this, but this actually, for me, screams grid, right? Because all these red shapes are falling nicely into what could be a grid. What I mean by that is you have different rows here. So that would be your first row, then your second row, third row, fourth row, fifth row, sixth, and then seventh row there, right? And then we have our columns here. So this would be column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 4, column 5, column 6. So 7 rows, 6 columns. And I'm just going to kind of jump ahead a little bit here. I'm going to go a little bit out of order because I just said that, just because I'll forget otherwise. So what I'm going to do, I don't normally do it this way, I'm going to do a style right away. Whoop. Put a style tag in right away. And then I'm going to go to the body. And we're going to say, actually, no, we're not going to do this out of order. I'll come back to this. So let's count how many elements we're going to need. All right. So I'm going to do, this is going to be an element, this is going to be an element, this is going to be an element. Notice they're all the same width and height. This is going to be an element, this is going to be an element, and this is going to be an element. They're all the same width and height again. And of course, they're all the same colors. So this is all going to help us while we're writing our code, reduce our characters, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. So we need 6 divs. I'm going to use letters of the alphabet to label them, to cut down on my characters. I know it's not descriptive and not a good practice in real life, but it helps you get a higher score in CSS Battle. So we're just going to say this, whoops, we're going to say this is B, and then this is going to be C, and then D, E, F. All right. So we'll get into the styling here. Let's go to the body. And first thing we're going to do is give it a background of this bluish color. Then we're going to give it display grid. And actually, what we need to do here, we're going to comment out everything except A. Because once I start putting in the grid columns and rows, it's going to give these all default values, and you're going to see them, and we don't want to see them yet. So we said there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. So these look to be about 40 pixels. I'm pretty certain of that. So column 2 is 40 pixels. This is twice as big, 80. So 40, 80, 80, 40. What that's 120, 40 plus 80. The width is 400. So 120 minus 200. This is going to be 80. Hope everybody understands how I got that. So again, this is 40. This is 2 times 40, right? We can see that. So that's 80. We can also kind of see it here too. I mean, this is 2 times 40 as well. You can see that with the eye. So you've got 80, 40, 80, 80, 40, 80. All right, so let's do grid template, whoops, columns, and we said 80 pixels by 40 pixels by 80 pixels by 80 pixels again, by 40 pixels, by 80 pixels. All right, I shouldn't say by, but those are sizes for the 6 columns. Okay, so here we have something very similar with the rows. You're going to have 40, 40, 40, 40, 40. This is twice as big, so 80. So that's 80 plus 40 is 120, plus 40 is 160, plus 40 is 200, plus 40 is 240, plus 40 is 280. So that leaves this, which is going to be 20. You can kind of see that too. That's half of this, but just you can also do the math because our height is 300. So once we get to here, we added up all those values that we knew, and we got 280. 300 minus 280 is 20. So just using very simple algebra to quickly figure out the sizes of things here. All right, so we said 20 pixels for the first, 40 for the next, 40 for the next. Right, so 40 pixels there, so we got 20, 40, 40, 40. Keep moving, 40, 40 pixels. Whoops. And then, I'm losing track, sorry. 20, 40, 40, 40, 40, one more 40. 40 pixels, and then an 80. And just to double check, 20 times 40 is 60, times 40, or plus 40 is 100, plus 40 is 140, plus 40 is 180, plus 40 is 220, plus 80 is 300. Great. And our height is 300. All right, so this should all be correct. The next thing I'm going to do, because all these elements have the exact same background color, is we're going to take care of that next. Oops, you don't want a period there, you want a comma. So there's all our elements, and we're going to give it a background of this reddish color. Cool. All right, one thing I forgot to do. So this A, by default, it's going to, if you don't specify which column or row it's going to go into, it's going to go into the very first one. So you see it being automatically put into this column here and this row here. But then there's this gap to the side, right? And at the top. That's because in CSS Battle, the body has a default margin, so we're going to need to reset that to 0. And now that's gone. Great. All right, so next thing I want to do is we're going to set the width and the height for A, B, and C. They're all the same, right? So A, B, and C all have the same width and height. They got a width of 40, and then it looks like this is 3 times 40, so we've got a width of 40 and a height of 120, and that's perfect. And then next thing we're going to do is, and I can see this with the naked eye here, is we're going to call this D, E, and F, and it's going to have a height of 40 and then a width twice 40, so 80. So we're just going to get all the sizes for these elements out of the way, and then really all we got to do is put everything in place, and that will be very simple after we do all this. So we're going to say a height of 40 and a width of 80. Okay, we can't see any of those yet. If you want to just make sure, we'll just uncomment this F. And there you go. That's exactly what we want. But we'll get to that. So now we need to put A in its correct place. And so one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of jump ahead here, and we're going to put assign a column for both A and B because they're in the same column. They're both in the second column. So we're going to select A and B, and we're going to say grid column 2. And that should move to the right spot. Good. And then A is going to be grid row 2. Okay. Now I'm going to uncomment B. And it gets put in the default place. We don't want it there. We want it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We want it in grid row 6. So B is going to be grid row 6. Beautiful. And then finally, we're going to look at C. So yeah. So for C, we're going to set grid column. And then we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 5. And we're going to put the row in a separate selector here. And I'll show you why as we move forward. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And we did not comment it too as well. Perfect. Okay. So now let's get to D, E, and F. We already gave them sizes. So first one we're looking at is D. And now for D, this is going to be grid row 2. So it's the same as A. So we can put it there. Again, this is going to help you cut down on characters by lumping these things together. And then it's going to have a grid column of 3. Right? It's because you got 1, 2, 3. Grid column 3. All right. And now let's go to E. This is also going to be grid column 3. So we'll put that in there. But then we need grid row of 6, so we can put that in here. See why I broke these out into separate things, you know what I mean? All right, so then here's our last element, F. And let's see, that needs to go in 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the only one in grid column 4, so that's going to have to be all by itself. Whoops, what am I doing? F. Grid column 4. Perfect. Then this needs to go in grid row 1, 2, 3, 4. Grid row 4, and this is also grid row 4, so we can put it in there. And there we go. Perfect. All right, so as always, last thing I like to do, if you see this is 1,083 characters. My previous submission was 1,086. I was able to improve a little bit on that, but in my previous submission, I didn't do what I'm about to do, and that is, first we want to delete all the comments that CSS Battle puts in there. See, my characters jumped down to 646, right? The less amount of characters you have, the higher your score, right? That's why I'm doing this. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put everything on one line, and I'm going to get rid of all the white space. And this is going to drastically cut down on characters as well. So that only cut down on 5, but now watch this. I bet this will cut down like 100 characters. So now I'm going to highlight all the white space. I'm just using Command D on a Mac. Not sure what it is on Windows. And then I'm going to delete once, delete twice. There we go, 489 characters. Yeah, we cut down on at least 100 there. Cool. So everything looks perfect. We got everything in one line. All the spaces are unnecessary. Spaces are gone. Comments are gone. Let's go ahead and submit. All right. Well, we got 3 extra points out of that, but sometimes it goes up by like 15 or so. Not so much that time. I don't know what that's all about. Anyways, thank you so much for watching my video. If you want to see more like this, please like and subscribe to my channel, and enjoy your day.